Of Raw and Unscripted. We are so glad that you are here tuning in on this Tuesday. Kellyanne, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Kim. How are you? I'm excited to be here, and I just every week I think I can't believe we're doing another week.
I know
It's
time
just
is just flying by, and
it is.
I wish everyone that's tuning in could know that what we're doing ahead. We're using this platform, making sure that everything's correct because there's all these little settings. But as the episode is called, as the podcast is called, Raw and Unscripted, you get us how we are. I'm having an issue with my contact lens this morning, so that's going to probably be bothering me. But we are here and excited. So once again, please let us know that you're here. We love knowing who's here tuning in with us. It's probably one of the best things for us, just to know that there's actually people here. And of course, if this content, you love it, please share it out. And of course, if you're catching this as a replay, if you could also type in replay inside the chat in the comments, because it's just kind of cool to see what happens and who catches us live and not live, right? So actually, why before I move along, let's just talk about what we did last week.
Okay.
Last week's episode, Kellyanne, was really good because we started to talk about the subconscious mind, right? And the power that subconscious mind has. 95%, right, of the things that we think, the way we feel, the way we act, the way we behave every day just happens so unconsciously because of those deep-rooted patterns that we have been playing over and over in our minds for a very, very long time, right?
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I didn't know any of this information.
Nope.
Like, this was all so new to me, and when I discovered it, and that's why I love sharing it with people, because I have talked to so many people who have said to me, I had no idea that that's how things worked. So
We're just not
it's
taught about it, right?
no, but we are not taught about this. None of this information is taught in schools. Our parents don't understand it. They've never been taught it. So we are a new generation who now have this knowledge, and we have this ripple effect, this amazing ripple effect, that when we understand these things and understand our power to change our lives, we're sharing this with the people in our world. We're sharing this with our children. I'm sharing this with my granddaughter. Like, it's just such an amazing um, awakening. I know it was for me. So
Absolutely. Mhm.
it's really exciting. I have to just shut one thing off. I'll be back in a sec.
No worries. All right. Well, I'm now doing this podcast all alone. No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Okay. So, oh, geez, very quick. I was
Real
having my moment there.
raw and unscripted, right? I mean,
That's right. That's right. So yeah, like last week we uncovered. So if you happen to miss episode 5, again, you can find it all on our YouTube channel, Raw and Unscripted. You can catch all the past episodes. But we kind of gave you a Cole's Note version last week of the difference between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, and where these thoughts and these belief systems that we have had have come from. Here we are today in episode 6, where we want to help you and continue to help ourselves be able to go, well, what's not working for me anymore? What's not supporting? And I guess with that, we also have to think, well, where do I want to go? And to that means we have to look at our current situation. What are the things in life right now that are working for us? What are the things that are not working for us? What are we so tired of repeating the same things over and over and over, right? So we're going to talk about that today in this episode, is learning how to start to address those belief systems that you have, that you're done with them. Like, I am done with these belief systems. They're not what I want anymore. And I want to be able to move my life forward. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
and I think, Kim, what you mentioned is it's that, and that's we are introducing people to waking up to this. So becoming aware, awareness is the key here. When you can become aware of your patterns, of your beliefs, and what they are creating in your life, celebrate that, because that is a huge first step. And we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to share a little bit about some of our beliefs. We're going to get vulnerable with you and share some of that, because we all have them. But when you can develop that awareness and start to look at the areas in your life that aren't working for you, and then dive into what are these beliefs that I'm holding, because they're probably not going to be in your consciousness. They're in your subconscious, so they're not going to be something that you're going to be able to say, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, and I
These
mean, I think it depends, right, on where you're at, right, with your journey. If you're watching this right now and this is brand new for you, you've probably not really given maybe any thought to this,
Mhm.
right? But that's what today's purpose is to start to acknowledge that. So, all right, you ready to roll?
I'm ready. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. So I use this statement a lot. I know you do, Kellyanne, as well, is everything starts with awareness. We can't, and of course, everything that we share today, we meet ourselves with self compassion. We're not hard on ourselves about it. We're just starting to present information to ourselves. So, the first thing we have to always do is start with awareness. Awareness means, what is my current reality? What are the current thoughts that are going on in my head on the regular that I just want to start to address? Because if you don't know what's happening up there, then you can't change it. Okay. So I will say those again, this is a little bit of my story, which you can catch more of in episode 2. But I mean, for the longest time in my life, I had the belief systems that, I wasn't safe in my body. I had to control the size of my body. I had to weigh myself every day. I had to watch my food. These were the things that were going on in my unconscious. And then when I would go out in public, I immediately compared myself to people. These things were happening on the regular because of that belief system that, who I am is not enough at the core, anyways. What's my reality today? I certainly still have some of those thoughts, but they're far less. But here's the thing, this piece of self-worth, this piece of being enough, it is probably one of my core wounds, I will refer to it, that always shows up. So currently in my business, I am building out a new website, and I've been doing this for the past 6, 7 weeks. And it's really challenged me, Kellyanne, like so much because, I'm writing and I'm like, this isn't good enough. This sounds stupid. No one's going to understand you. Why are you putting so much work into this? Like, it's just so much chatter. And it's still going back to those same roots of who I am is not enough. So it's been tough for me. And I mean, other pieces too have been going on, but that's been my reality a lot lately, is building this website. So it tends to be a lot of my thoughts, which means that sometimes I procrastinate, which means that I often will write something and then I erase it and I start again because I keep questioning it. But we'll talk later about what I do now to help me address those thoughts when they're showing up for me. That's a little bit about me in my awareness right now.
Thank you for being honest about that, Kim,
Yeah.
because I think that our self worth, especially as women, and our feelings of not being enough, I think it's really an epidemic. I don't
Yeah.
think you are never going to meet a woman. I'm just going to talk about women here because that's really who most we serve mostly. But you're never going to meet a woman who is able to say, I feel great about myself all the time. I feel completely worthy. I'm there. I don't need to do any more work. I don't think there is a woman like that. I've never met one. Um, because that feeling of not being enough, wow. Every woman I have ever worked with or talked to about this shares that same belief
Mhm,
about themselves.
mhm.
And that definitely was a part of the belief system, the belief that I have always held. For me, it was definitely not being enough, but it was more in the kind of person that I wasn't kind enough,
Mm,
that I was um, maybe selfish, and I grew up, and I shared a little bit about this. I had a trauma when I was young, and that created some deep-seated beliefs in me. And so what happened is I built this wall of defensiveness around myself that I felt so unworthy that I couldn't let anybody in to see that about myself, to see that unworthiness that I was. And so I created this wall, and I still find myself today, when somebody gives me constructive criticism,
Mhm,
or when somebody disagrees with me, I still find myself going to that place of unworthiness.
mhm,
And I still have to kind of ground myself in that and know that I am safe,
yeah,
that whatever they are saying does not affect my worth. But it's
hmm,
as we always say, Kim, both of us say this is a journey. We are on this journey with you, and it's a never ending journey. You're never going to reach that destination, but you will further your path. And it is so worth it as you learn more about yourself and start to transform some of those beliefs. Because, as you've said too, Kim, we feel you and I have done certainly some of the work to be able to transform those beliefs. They're not gone, but they definitely have improved a lot. And those beliefs support us much more in our lives than they used to.
It's so true. I wrote a post about that this morning, like, and the example I gave this morning, because I still have these feelings. They still come up. They're just not as loud. But in our world, society likes to uh, congratulate weight loss. It likes to congratulate people who are in thinner bodies. And this is again going back to our worth as women, that, as women, we're supposed to be beautiful. We're supposed to be in smaller bodies. And so I always, if I was in a space, and it didn't matter what size I was, if somebody was being congratulated on their body and my body wasn't being congratulated in some way, my inner voice would say, "You're not enough." Like, it always came back to that piece of worthiness. And so, and we're going to talk a little bit about this today, but because the more you have those beliefs, the longer they've been there, the more deeply rooted they are. And they're part of our society. They're conditionings of our society that it is going to, you might feel it. And I think that there's sometimes that we feel it a little bit more than other days. I mean, I'll use an example. Like, if I'm in a place where I'm feeling a little bit not enough, if I'm feeling a little bit critical of myself, well, then I'm going to be hearing those comments that much more, right? Because whatever's already being awoken in there is being tapped on, right? That this is what we talk about, that no one can make you feel a certain way, that it's already a feeling within you that is being mirrored through somebody else's comments on some level. So it's an awareness always. And again, I will say, because I've already mentioned this, but we have to hear it so many times. This is not about being critical of yourself. It's a matter of looking and go, okay, this is my reality. I often give that as homework to some of my clients, is to keep track of some of those negative statements. What exactly do they sound like? What do your beliefs sound like? I should be. Anything that says I should be, that should is one of those deep rooted belief systems. I should be a better wife. I should be a better mother. I should be more caring and more loving. I should not talk about myself so much. Stop being so full of yourself, like, whatever it is, right? What else? What would you say in terms of awareness? Is that how you typically do it, Kellyanne?
Yeah, definitely. I think some of the clients that I have worked with, they don't. And I said earlier, you need to celebrate when you do have that awareness, because that is the first step. Most people go through life never having an awareness that the things that they've been doing, the things that they've been thinking, the beliefs that they have held, are not actually moving forward. They're not moving them toward the life that they want to have. And I think when we talk about, especially our beliefs about ourself, those beliefs that are tied into our self-image and what we
Mhm.
think of ourselves, the one statement that I learned that really hit me was that you cannot outperform your self-image. So no matter how much work you do, how much education you have, how many letters behind your name, all of those things, you cannot outperform that feeling you have about yourself. And I spent many years in school and I still find myself caught up in that. I still think if I just know more, if I just take another course, if I just learn this, I will be better. And I have to I have to hold myself back and say, no, Kellyanne, you are enough as you are.
Mhm.
You don't need to know more
Mhm.
to be better. And that whole idea of your self image, and what's that we call it, some people call it different things. I call it a
Mhm.
self image, but you will never outperform those feelings. The only thing you can do is to shift those beliefs, those internal beliefs. And to me, those beliefs that you have about yourself, those are the most critical beliefs to shift, because once you shift those, everything in your life changes.
Yeah, we don't realize how powerful it is, right? On how much these belief systems are holding us in this position, right? Um, yeah. So here's the thing. We would like those of you that are here with us live, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of the comments that are coming in here. We can see through the comments that we are not the only ones that feel this way. These shoulds, we are so good at shoulding on ourselves. So catch the language. And even if you hear somebody else doing that to themselves, kindly call them on it too. This is what we do, is to support one another, so that we can, move ourselves a little bit farther forward. I just want to say too, I think there's a difference between wanting to achieve more and not feeling good enough, right? And I think that that's the power of the intensity of those thoughts, because those of us that want to achieve more, grow ourselves on some level, there is going to be this sense of, well, here I am, but I want to be here.
Mhm.
So this gap between my present and where I want to go. So we're not saying there's nothing wrong with wanting to achieve more or be more, but always question what's feeding that thought, right? Because again, in my world, society tells us that if right now doesn't feel good for me on some level, it's clearly about who I am and what I look like. And if I just lost weight, well, then I would be happier, right? It's the shoulds, that we tend to put that pressure on ourselves. So start with recognizing that awareness. That's what we would love for you. If you are feeling vulnerable with us right now on Raw and Unscripted, we would love for you to type in the chats, what are some of the belief systems that you have about yourself that you know are lies, that you know are untruths, but you want to start to claim? When you start to pay attention to it, it makes a big difference. And it's probably going to sound potentially very critical. And you're going to look at it and say, wow, like I would never speak to somebody else like this. Why do I have these beliefs about myself? And I hear that a lot too. I'm really kind and compassionate and caring towards other people, but I can't do that for myself. And this is what this conversation is about, because every single person that is listening to us right now is 100% worthy of loving and accepting and respecting themselves in this current place in your life. No matter what you've done, no matter your experiences, no matter the body you're in, your occupation, none of it matters. We're all worthy right now.
Mhm.
What's step number 2? Let's go into it. Do you want to go there?
Um,
Or like what, once we have our, or maybe I'll take it.
yeah, step number two, I'm like, step number two, did we
Well, I
talk?
It's
Let
not
me,
really a step. What's the next thing that we do? Okay, so I have awareness. If we want to start to, I threw you on there, didn't I? Step 2 of 10.
okay. I just all of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know enough here. That's
You
immature.
Kelly Ann, you know enough.
That limiting belief came into play. I would say when I work with my clients, and this is something that I do for myself, is I look, and this can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to look at your beliefs because, as we talked about last week, you have beliefs in every area of your life. You have beliefs about yourself, you have beliefs about marriage, you have beliefs about family, you have beliefs about parenting, you have beliefs about money, you have beliefs
Mhm,
about work, you have beliefs about everything. So, we're talking, Kim and I really are sharing more our beliefs about ourselves.
mhm.
And you can look at yourself and you can say, I know I should be doing better. I know I shouldn't be saying these things. You can read all the books, and I read all the books. I read the books that said you need to improve your self-image, you need to improve your self-concept. And I was like, okay, I'm reading the books, but it's not working. Why isn't
But
it working? And
yes.
it's because we are taking all those things in our conscious mind, but that's only controlling 5% of everything we do. So when you start to look at, it's that whole idea of I know better, why don't I do better?
Yeah.
I call it the knowing doing gap. There's a
Mhm,
big gap there. We think, yeah, I know if I could just have a better self-image. So, what I encourage my clients to do is to look at one area of your life. So, look at one area of your life that isn't the way you want it to be, that isn't how you desire it to be. And then start that journey of awareness. Start that idea of looking at what is not working for me here. What are the thoughts that I'm having around this? Because your thoughts are going to be tied into those beliefs. What are the beliefs that I might have about this? And this is going to take a bit of soul searching
mhm.
because I was just talking to somebody the other day who said, obviously, I have some beliefs about this, but I don't know what they are. And that's so common
Mhm.
because you don't spend any time doing this. So when you look at one area and you say, what are some of these beliefs? Why do I feel this way? If I feel unworthy, where did this come from?
Mhm.
And you are probably going to be able to take it back to some things that have happened in your childhood. And understanding where these things came from gives you a power. It gives you power to say, these are not my beliefs. They did not come from me.
Mhm.
They were put there by somebody else. And through repetition, they have become my beliefs, but I have the power to change them.
Do you remember, everyone, we talked about this last week? And Kellyanne, you always do such a beautiful way of explaining that. So thank you for that. We talked last week about the necklace, about how our thoughts become repetitive. And those thoughts, if we think them enough times, or if we look for evidence in the world to keep proving those thoughts to be true, they form these deep rooted beliefs. So we create that necklace around our neck of all the experiences, events, things that were said to us, things that we internalized to keep forming that belief. And again, a lot of our beliefs, they may not be ours. Okay. We might take them on. I always find that very interesting when two people can have such opposite beliefs about something. There's many examples of that in this world right now. Okay. We all have different experiences and backgrounds that have shaped why we feel a certain way. No one person is right or wrong. They are your beliefs. But when you can go, you know what? This belief has been holding me back in my life. It has been holding me back from finding love. It has been holding me back from sharing my gifts, sharing my talents at my workplace, like whatever. You then get to say, well, okay, I can shift this. And again, we're not saying it happens overnight because it doesn't. It doesn't. It is just the same as, same way you built that belief is the same way you have to build a new belief, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So, yeah. So I guess what I'd like to say here too is, and this is all things that I've done in my life and currently I'm doing, but it's like, well, this is my reality. This is what I'm feeling right now. I know that this doesn't feel good. So what could feel better instead? So we have to know, what does that ideal look like for us? I'm going to continue to bring it back to the work that I do because that makes sense for me. So if I have a belief that there's something wrong with my body, but I know that this constant push pull with my body has exhausted and burnt me out and left me unhappy, then what could my new belief is? My new belief could be, I'm going to learn how to respect and accept this body without feeling like I need to change it. That's the direction I want to go. How will I do that? So if we know where we're going, if we know what we want to feel instead, then we can start to shape our thoughts and our actions in that direction, which will start to form the belief systems just the same way you did at the beginning. What are your thoughts on that?
You're exactly right, Kim. As Kim said, you can't just eliminate a belief, you have to replace it with something else.
Mhm,
So when you start to replace it with a new belief, a more life-giving and life-supporting belief,
mhm,
the way that you do that is to decide, exactly as Kim said, what do you want to believe instead, and then to start that process of repetition, because there's two ways that you can change beliefs. One is through that constant spaced repetition. The other is through some kind of an emotional event, like a trigger,
mhm,
let's say somebody has a heart attack and then changes everything in their life. They
mhm,
change all their beliefs, or you have a traumatic event. So that's one way you can change. The other is through repetition. So you want to find the belief that you want to change, or that the new belief you want to have, and begin that process of, what I tell people is, that new belief, turn it into an affirmation, which is
mhm,
just a positive thought. So an affirmation is what you want to believe. And it doesn't have to be like, if you're, here, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to be the most confident person in the world. I'm going to speak on stage. It just has to be something that it's that next step for you. And none of us know what that is for you. You have to determine that. So it should be believable, but it should be a stretch for you.
mm.
And at that affirmation, put it everywhere. Write it on sticky notes everywhere. Put it on your phone, put it on your computer, put it on your mirror every morning, because that repetition of that is going to change your subconscious mind. You might think that seems too easy, but that's how it works. And Kim and I both work with people. That's the work that we do. We know that it's not as simple as just writing an affirmation and everything will change. So we work with clients to help you to make permanent and profound changes in your life, because that's what happens when you change your subconscious. This isn't a temporary result. This is a permanent result. This changes your life. And that's what's so exciting about this work.
Mm. Yes. Here's the thing. We want you to listen to your language. I am. What follows I am for you? I am lazy. I am a quitter. I am worthy of learning this. What follows your I ams? And as Kellyanne just said, it has to be relatable. It has to feel like something that you reach towards. I love this type of language, and feel free to write these down, everyone that's listening right now. We want to tell the mind what direction we want it to go, The mind is listening. I have a friend of mine who does a lot of, who specializes in NLP, neuro linguistic programming. She uses a great little analogy that your mind has this little executive assistant that runs around with you all day long with a little notepad, keeping track of everything that you are desiring. So think about that. What do I want my executive assistant? Actually, I'm going to shout her out right now, Natalie Plamondon Thomas. She's a rock star. I want to give credit where credit is due. So, what is your little executive assistant listening? So, it could be, I am learning to, I am working on, I am open to. So, it could be, I am open to doing things that feel a little scary to build my self confidence. I am open to, I am working on. So the mind goes, oh, this is the direction that she wants to go. So pay attention to those language, those words. Actually, and I want to say too, I just finished The Myth of Normal 2 nights ago with Dr. Gabor Mate and Daniel Mate. He also talks about speaking it out loud. So when you catch yourself in that old belief system, notice how I said that. It is an old belief system. We want the brain, the mind to know this is not something I believe anymore about myself. I used to believe this, but now I believe this. And say it out loud, speak it out loud, attach emotion to it. This is how the change happens. You can't just do it once, okay? You have to do it many, many times. And some days you're going to be more aware of it than others. And you can't always necessarily do it in the moment. Like you can't be in a boardroom meeting and stand up and say, say it out loud, right? But it's something you pay attention to so that you can go and look at this later. This stuff makes me so excited because I know how powerful it is.
I know. That's exactly how I feel. And that's why Kim and I love what we do, because we get to help people change. You are so powerful. You have so much power in you to create exactly the life that you desire. And that's why we are so passionate about this work, because we know that that power is within you. And what we want to do is help you recognize that and bring it out and change your life and make it exactly, bring all your desires into you.
And you can't do it wrong, and you can't do it too slow. And this is not a place for comparing yourself to someone else, okay? Everybody has reach to be able to make these shifts. It could also be like you don't have to feel like you have to become more. It could be going like, this is my reality. I do have shelter, a roof over my head. I do have a career that I can be proud of. It's recognizing what you do have too, because so often we're challenging those thoughts. We would love for you to either type it in the chat or even feel free to send us a private message, but let us know what's something that you're going to start to work on once you start to pay attention to those thoughts and you bring awareness to them. These are the thoughts I'm having. What belief might they be attached to? See if you can start to do that homework for yourself. Of course, Kellyanne and I are here always if you're wanting some additional support with this, but you can start this work on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you can't just watch this podcast or listen to this podcast and then say, and my work is done. It doesn't work like that.
If only it was that easy.
Oh, so good. So good. Okay. Does that feel like a good place for us to end this one for today?
I think it does, Kim. I think
Beautiful.
it does. Yes.
Now, we are going to keep you on the edge of your seat to let you know that what we're going to speak about next week, we may still dive into this one a little bit more. But we might not. We're gonna talk about that, see where the next episode is gonna take us. Remember that we air every Tuesday live. You're here with us live, you know it, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. All of our episodes go onto our YouTube channel. And please let people know about this. This is a pure example of us challenging our belief systems literally on the spot. We do not sit down and write notes like we're just talking, right? And I think this is exactly how you change your belief systems, by doing things that lead you in the direction that you want to go. Both of us want to be able to find more confidence and safety and trust in our voices and using our voices. And we're literally doing that right now on the spot for you.
Scary as heck, but we're doing it.
I love it.
So thank you to those who are here to witness it.
So true. So true. If you have any questions about today's episode, please feel free to write them in the chat or reach out to us privately. You can find me obviously here on Facebook, Instagram. My handle is Kim Basler _food freedom. Feel free to send me a message there or ask questions. And Kellyanne, I'll let you drop your handle in here.
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm Appleton Kellyanne, and Facebook, Kellyanne Appleton. Pretty simple.
It's the way we have to roll, right? We don't
Exactly.
need more complexity. Clump. Yeah, that's the word.
I love simplicity.
I don't think I could say that word right now.
So thank you everybody for who is here live with us. And as Kim said, if you're watching the replay, please write replay in the comments. We do go back and look at all the comments and try and answer any questions. And we just so appreciate you being here with us. So have an amazing day.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Be well.